G'day, ZiggyD here, and in this video today I want to share with you guys what I think are the 5 most important vendor recipes post patch 1.0.0 in Path of Exile. A few things have changed, but a lot of the vendor recipes are still the same, so if you're already pretty familiar with this sort of stuff, this probably won't be too new for you, but for a lot of you newer players, you should find this pretty useful stuff. Now the first one I actually can't show, so I'll get it out of the way, and it is the level 20 to 20% quality vendor recipe for skill gems. Basically, if you level a skill gem up to level 20 and then trade it along with 1 GCP to the vendor, you'll get that same skill gem back at level 1 instead, but it'll have 20% quality. So this is pretty important, not so much in that everyone's going to be using this recipe, but it's really important to know because it affects the pricing of quality gems. Now this is something you can also take advantage with yourself as you're leveling up. Keep in mind, if you have some extra gem slots, might be a good idea to level up some skill gems, and it also means you could potentially 20% quality some of your gems for yourself for only 1 GCP. So before you go out and spend an exalt on a 20% quality or a high quality skill gem for you to use, consider whether maybe it might just be worth waiting until you get your gem to level 20. However, don't use it on your main spell if you use the spell. For example, if I get my EK to level 20 and then 20% quality it's going to go back to level 1 and EK is going to deal no damage, so be a little bit careful of that. But that's the first one, just important one to know, I think, just to keep in the back of your mind. So, next up we have the Glassblowers Bauble recipe. As you can see, if you trade a number of superior flasks, totaling 40% total quality, you'll get a Glassblowers Bauble back. Now this has always been one that's been pseudo important to remember, leveling up, because if you collect these guys, collect any of these flasks while you're leveling up, you'll have enough Glassblowers Baubles at the end to craft your endgame flasks and make sure that they're 20% quality. Now this recipe is even more important in patch 1.0.0 because they've significantly nerfed the drop rate of Glassblowers Baubles. People like to joke that they're as rare as exalts now. They're not quite that rare, but I've only seen something like 5 in leveling and farming with this character, which is pretty rare. So as you can see, I haven't even been able to 20% all of my flasks. I kind of got a bit frustrated here and just went for the 10% here, and I should have waited for 20%, but I was a little bit frustrated because it was taking too long to get them. So, very important to make sure you collect up your superior flasks and vendor these guys to get these Glassblowers Baubles, because you're not going to find enough as drops to make your endgame flask when you get to endgame. So very important stuff to do. I'm going to go ahead and do this one because I need that for a little bit later. Next one is the 5 rares to 1 UNID rare type of thing. So if I have 5 rare items here, like I have 5 rustic sashes, I can vendor all of these guys back for a rare UNID rustic sash. As you're getting towards endgame, you're farming up a lot of items and you're getting a lot of ones that aren't really good to sell, like this one here. That's not going to sell. I'm not going to be able to use that. So you collect up a few of these guys, you can trade them in. Now this works with any rare item, but it's better done with rare items that have the potential to be good, but bad ones are really bad. So for example, if I had 5 rare Reaver swords, they're not going to sell, but Reaver swords are in very high demand at the moment for everyone that's going Spectral Throw. So it'd be worthwhile just keeping these in a stash tab to eventually vendor it the chance of getting a new rare for. Rustic sashes aren't the best example because things like jewelry, sashes and rings and amulets are going to be used in a later recipe that we'll talk about. But things like, extra rare slots that you really want to try and get, so say you're really trying to get a certain chest type, save up the rares for those and vendor those over for that. I'm not going to do this one because some of these belts are actually okay and probably sellable. The next one is the new 2-stone ring recipe. If you trade one of each 2-stone rings, so we go cold and lightning, we go fire and cold, and fire and lightning, we get back a prismatic ring. Now you also get back the same tier of prismatic ring that you actually trade in terms of 2 stones. So if I trade a bunch of rare 2 stones, I'm going to get a rare prismatic ring. Good rare prismatic rings are very high demand in the new league, so this is actually a pretty nice recipe to do. If you get a bunch of crappy 2-stone rings, you can trade these over prismatics. And it's even, I'm finding worthwhile to ulk high level 2-stone rings because they can roll really well, and 2-stone rings are also in very high demand. So you can sell them if they're good, and if they're bad, you can trade them over for a prismatic ring. Pretty nice stuff. Now keep in mind with both this recipe and the one that I showed with the rustic sashes, 5 rares to 1 UNID rare, the eye level of the item you get back is directly correlated to the lowest eye level of the item you trade. So out of these 3, if one of these is an eye level 20, whereas the rest are all eye level 65, I'm going to get an eye level 20 rustic sash back, which is pretty bad for me. So make sure you check the eye level of all of these items. I'll show you how to do that in case you've never seen that before. Pick it up, press enter, type /item level. And then it gives you item on cursor is level 68. Nice one to vendor over with this recipe, because as long as all of them are at least this level, I'm going to get a 68 back. And then the final one, I think I've kept count good. I'm not very good at counting sometimes. Is the Chaos Vendor recipe. If you trade a full set of rare items all over eye level 60, you'll get a Chaos Orb back. Now this is really nice if you're getting into Merciless Piety farming and you're getting a ton of rares. You'll eventually collect up some jewelry. But whenever you get 2 rings, 2 rare rings, and a rare amulet that are bad, start saving up the rest of the set. You know, you just need a helmet, chest piece, gloves, boots, a belt, and a 2-handed weapon. You can do a 1-handed weapon and an offhand. You have to have a sword and a shield to be able to do this, or like a quiver and a sword or something like that. But it's much easier to just do it with 2-handed rares. So save up these guys, these bad ones, because that's an easy and guaranteed way to get chaos recipes. The bottleneck is just these rings and amulets, which are a bit rarer. But if you have a few of these ones lying around that aren't very good, you can save them up to get that chaos orb, which I am indeed going to do. So there we go. Got another pretty much essentially free Chaos Orb that we just kept aside. I'll show you guys how I kind of manage this just to make it a bit more efficient. I have a vendor tab here that I just see like, okay, I've got 2 rings here and an amulet, so I can just go ahead and put these guys aside and think, okay, I should probably just start checking now what other rares I can get. If you just collect up all your chests and helmets and all that stuff, you're probably just going to fill up your stash, because these are the actual bottleneck here. So I'm ready to start another Chaos Orb, start working on another Chaos Orb, which is always pretty exciting. Anyway, hopefully you guys found this helpful. That's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.